now comes the bopping. Hello and welcome to the HR Data Lab's Brown Bag Lunch. My name is David Turetsky, and he, the co-host, is Dwight Brown. How are you, Dwight?
I'm good, David. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just one note, we are sponsored by Salary.com, the technology, data, and solutions consulting solution for your compensation problems. And now we are brand new. We are actually now live on LinkedIn. So hello, our LinkedIn audience.
Hello, everybody.
So Dwight and I were just talking a couple minutes ago. We don't know if you've seen in the news, but there are some organizations that are now having to consider layoffs because they've lost a lot of government contracts due to the cutbacks from the federal government. And the one we saw today was Deloitte. Deloitte and a lot of the consulting firms do a lot of work with the federal government.
Yep. It is widespread impacts that, it's going to play itself out. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays itself out. And we're going to see a lot of this collateral kind of stuff with all of it.
And I think one of the things that we have to consider is the services that get lost with these cuts, but also the people consequences as well. And so for those of you who may have spouses or partners or friends who are either in the federal government or who work as federal government contractors, they're going to be going through a lot. So my advice is, be kind to them right now because they really need a lot of compassion.
Well, and maybe we'll get into this a little bit later. Understand what a great talent pool this is creating.
That's right.
And not all companies are going to be cutting back. Some are going to be expanding. Some are going to keep operations at status quo and are going to have needs. And you can't ask for a better workforce than people coming from the federal government or those like the consultants laid off at Deloitte. Right. It's going to be a hell of a candidate pool.
And we've actually seen some states take some proactive measures. I saw this from New York. I think there was a couple other states that did this as well, who said, hey, we know that the federal government is retrenching a little bit. If you're a federal worker, come to New York. Right. And we've got jobs, we've got openings that you might be able to fill. So send us your resume. So I applaud them for that.
And that's always great because, let's face it, times like this where you hear about people losing their jobs, every day in the news you're seeing some large company that is doing cutbacks, whether small scale or large scale cutbacks. It's easy to kind of get jaded and think that, if I get cut from my job, I'm never going to be able to find another job, and that's not the reality of it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's easy to kind of get influenced that when you're viewing layoffs, that's the way of the world, and there's a whole lot more out there.
And one of the opportunities and one of the conversations we wanted to have today is around AI and HR and some of the opportunities there. And we know that AI is embedded deeply currently in the recruiting process, but we wanted to talk about other opportunities as well. And I think we could first start by actually talking about this, which is using AI to go out and look for those candidates, especially in the federal workforce that might be affected by these layoffs. If you have requisitions that are languishing and you haven't found the right people for it, then you could potentially find those people in the world of the federal government.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of capability there, and I mean, some of it still is kind of bearing itself out. But I agree with you. It's a good, it's a good starting point to be able to go out and find these folks. And yeah, the other area of HR, well, and this isn't just HR. This is actually across the board. I'm a daily user of ChatGPT, and a lot of times.
Wait! You're coming out and basically saying you are an AI user.
I am an AI user. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I am very much an AI user, and
you heard it here, folks. You heard it first that Dwight Brown has self-identified as being a GPTer. So
I have, and I love it, and it makes my job so much more robust. I won't say it makes my job easier. It just changes the nature of it. For instance, a lot of times what I do, if I'm going to be looking at a particular topic, where I used to go to Google, I now go to ChatGPT, and I'm able to ask those questions, get a good summary of the topic, and some of it I have to weed through and be like, no, that's not right. It's not a panacea, but it at least gets you that start of what you need to be able to start to work with a given topic, or if you're going to write a blog post, or if you're going to write an email, whatever it is. There are certain advantages to really leaning on AI.
Oh, absolutely. And it gives you a leg up. It's You're using it as a tool. You're not using it as a crutch, right? You're using it as a tool. And I think we're going to see this happen more, is that people are going to start to dip their toes in the water. They're going to find a specific use case that they get frustrated with that might be helpful. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you an example that I get very frustrated with, which is putting meetings on calendars. There are AIs that actually act like an assistant, and when you tell, and they've been around for years, where you tell them who you want to include in the meeting, it goes out and it asks them for times that they're available, because the AI doesn't have access to their Microsoft 365 account, so they can't do that. And then it comes back and it does an interaction with each one to find when they're available, finds time on your calendar, and actually schedules the meeting. To me, that's such a waste of time for me to take care of. And yes, I know how spoiled that sounds.
Right.
But I mean, with everything going on in our lives, and we've become our own, assistant, as well as we do so much for ourselves, that there's that one thing that if you can get automation to take care of that for you, it enhances and improves not just your job, but your life. It makes it it makes you feel better about it.
Right, exactly. It gives you back some of the time that has been robbed by doing stuff that really, isn't too value add for the most part.
Exactly. It's what's the value add? And I think if everybody went through and they looked at what are the processes you do every day that you could possibly explain to someone. Like if there's a specific process and you can explain to someone how it goes from point A to point B, and there are steps involved, I wonder how hard it would be. Maybe you know this better than I do, Dwight, since you're a user of the technology more than I am. You're a GPTer now.
I'm a GPTer.
In my mind. But can we rely on automation coming from ChatGPT? About, can it do that for us?
Yeah. And I think the follow-on questions with that are, if it can do that for us, can it do it well?
Well,
some stuff, very well. Some stuff, not so much. It's like I was telling you, when I start to work on a particular topic, be it for a meeting or for presentation or whatever it is, I still have to, I still really have to kind of take a sharp eye to what I'm seeing and cry BS on some of what it spits out, because AI has the tendency to hallucinate.
Yep.
The Timothy Leary kind of thing. And so
well, hopefully it's not on drugs, so if that's what you're implying.
Yeah, exactly. Who, me? Imply that?
No, I would. I don't. Just
Yeah. But anyway, you know, you still have to ask that question: can it do it well? And I think that's going to continue to play itself out, because AI can continue to be refined and get better and better and better. What I can do today that really is crappy, tomorrow it could be totally different, just because of the speed of change with it.
But I think it also is about us and about our ability to learn more about prompt development and being able to manage the technology that's there. You know, you see some of these videos that show up on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, and you know that they're generated by AI. To me, it's just fascinating to see that's what people are using the technology for. And by the way, doing those things using AI takes a lot of computing power in order to be able to do.
Right.
The things we're talking about, relatively less so, like making, scheduling a meeting or building a job description or even putting a PowerPoint together. Those are really using research and probably a little bit more formatting.
Yep.
Probably don't have as much resource intensity, but still we have to develop the right skills to be able to write the prompts in the right way, to be able to either have the conversation with the AI or tell it what we want and not get frustrated by that.
Hey, it's Libby DeLucian. If you're sick of business advice that sounds cute but doesn't actually move the needle forward, this one's for you. The Libby DeLucian podcast is where we go one layer deep. No gurus, no glitter, just straight up unfiltered talk about scaling a business, running a household, and holding on to your sanity in the middle of the chaos. If you're the bottleneck in your business or in your own life, I'll show you how to fix it. Simple, tactical, and one layer deep every time. Let's go. Visit libbyd.com and check out our podcast today.
Oh, exactly. And, tying that to the theme of AI and HR, good HR departments should be anticipating this and should be really pushing the schooling of the workforce on effective interaction with AI and being effective with AI. As opposed to viewing it as the enemy.
Right.
Help your workforce because it's another thing that requires skills, to your point. You've got to have those prompt engineering skills, and, good corporations will help employees with that. And I think they'll see big dividends from it.
And that help may come in the form of training, which I just did a search the other day looking at Coursera as well as some other areas that I've used in the past for learning skills around certain things. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Coursera, it's basically an online, basically training tool.
Institution.
Yeah. It's a learning institute, but it takes all sorts of content from various institutions around the world, educational institutions, and it consolidates them on their platform. So somewhere like Johns Hopkins, which is an amazing institution out of the East, the Northeast, well, I guess you could just say the Atlantic coast in the U.S., they've got phenomenal resources available for things like data science and ML and AI. And But think of that as they have beginner level, and then they have more intermediate and advanced as well. So as you go through your life cycle with learning through these types of skills, there are trainings available that cost nothing. I mean, literally nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And give you top-notch learning.
Yeah. And so starters in it can take a Coursera beginner's course, and then later on they could take more of the advanced courses as they start developing more acumen and actually refining their prompts and refining their use cases better as well.
Yeah. Did you find a lot out there on the prompt engineering?
Education? Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Coursera courses that I'm probably going to take are probably from Johns Hopkins. and I'm going to try it. It's only a few hours for the beginning course.
Yep.
And while I've used ChatGPT, and I've actually used one technology called onemin.ai, which was a consolidator of various engines, I still want to be able to learn using a course while I'm able to test it in onemin.ai.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That's a nice part about those courses is that you can, sometimes they're tool agnostic.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was Johns Hopkins that had the data science course.
Yes.
I think it's still out there.
It is. It's wonderful. I took it.
I did the same thing, and I took it. It was probably about 6 years ago, so a lot of it's probably
Me
outdated
too.
by now. But
Yeah. Because they were actually using R as well as some R libraries, so I'm sure it's been updated. Yeah.
Yeah, and now the beauty of AI is that you don't have to write the R script. You can just tell AI what you want, but like everything, need that oversight still.
Exactly.
So.
By the way, that's not a ghost that just walked into my office, my studio. That was my dog.
I'm so used to your dog walking in and having it look like a ghost.
Yes, the haunted podcast.
Those of you who don't know, David's house was built in, 1783 or?
1775.
1775. So, you figure there's got to be ghosts in that place somewhere being that old.
Dude, this is my last day in this house. If I haven't met them yet, I don't want to. I'm going to go down to the basement tomorrow as I'm cleaning it out, and it's going to be like, hey, now's the time. Since you're not the owner anymore soon, now's the time for you and I to have a conversation. No!
David's living his own horror movie. I just conjured something up by making a comment about it.
Now I'm going to have a Blair Witch issue going on in my basement. Thank you, Dwight.
Hey, you're leaving. You sold it. I mean, what are you worried about?
Going down to the basement now. Yeah. Thanks, Dwight. No, just kidding. But for those of you in HR who are thinking about AI, it might feel like a horror movie. See how I can see what I did there, Dwight?
I did.
It might seem like a horror movie because when we consider the use cases for, in compensation, could AI replace me?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think that, there's a couple things to that. One is, if you think about the math and a lot of the data structures and a lot of the interesting information that you use as part of your daily work and compensation, I think of AI as being a phenomenal tool to be able to help you not only organize it, but to be able to ask it questions.
Right.
Ask interesting questions of a data and see if it tells you what you're hoping to achieve.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was using it this morning, and that exact thing where I was exploring a topic and I wanted to see. It was a compensation-related topic, and I wanted to see what it came up with, and it was fantastic. There's probably about 25% that I had to cut out that just wasn't, but that's all right. That means that other 75%, I didn't have to write that from scratch.
That's right. That's right.
Call me lazy, but, but I agree with you.
Do that.
If you look at it from a comp management perspective, it's not that it's going to replace you. It'll change the way that you work.
Yeah.
And, hopefully for the better.
Well, and anybody who thinks that it's a job replacement hasn't gone through and thought about how we've had these types of technologies that have come along. Like I think I've mentioned several times on the podcast, computers, when they entered the HR world, changed how we worked.
Right.
It wasn't about manila envelopes and paper being transferred via the interoffice mail anymore. It was, we would interact with systems that, the workflow was built in. And so the forms were built in. So our jobs changed slightly, but they became more strategic at that point.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I think one of the things people are worried about with that, though, is the pace of change with AI is really rapid. I mean, even compared to the advent of the use of computers in the workplace, that was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Technology has always moved at a lightning pace, but AI seems like it moves faster than anything that I've seen. And I mean, we as human beings, we don't do well with change a lot of times, and especially when it's rapid change like that. So I think it creates this artificial fear that's out there, this sort of unfounded fear. And I think that's one of the factors that creates that.
But just like you mentioned before, AI is not new. I mean, computers have been in the workplace since the late 80s, early 90s, let's say.
Yeah.
And the algorithms in R as a technology, from the data science perspective, has been around for decades. Mm-hmm. And so ML has been around for decades. I know that I worked on it at my former role, and we were doing natural language processing, and we were doing, regressions, multiple regressions using random tree forest and other types of methodologies that were recursive in nature. And we were asking the data a lot of questions. So AI and ML have been around for decades. The question is, the problem is now it's become consumer.
Right.
And so
you
now
put it in the hands of the consumer as opposed to the data science that sits in the office next to you.
The nerd, let's just call it what it is. Yeah, the nerd like you and me, who we think about a problem now and we ask, how are we going to solve this? And of course, our first thing is, let's go to build a pivot table in a spreadsheet or something like that. Or
build an Access database.
Yeah, exactly. Build an Access database. But that's what it's all about. It's about taking the data and now putting it into a new realm, a new tool, and seeing what the new tool, how you can ask that new tool a question and be able to get answers back that make some sense, that enable you to get your job done more effectively.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, it's only recently that it's been put in the hands of consumers. It has been a data geek down the hall sort of model for years, and so now that it's in our hands, one of the things that I want to try that I haven't tried with AI is
I'm waiting. I can't wait to hear what you're going to say.
I need to find one of my old monstrous spreadsheets that had data upon data upon data, and I want to feed it in, ask it a question, and see what it comes up with. I haven't done that yet.
Are you worried about privacy? Are you worried about data privacy? Are you worried about where the data can get to?
Yeah, because I don't have any of my humongous data sheets that aren't,
anonymized.
Anonymized, right? So I need to find something. I'm sure there's a ton out there. Yeah, but
well, I mean, you could spend some time in Excel, our favorite tool, and strip away some of that and then use it, or you could put it in a private cloud and then use the AI in a private walled cloud where the data won't get out. That's
right.
I think that's a lot of the concern that I have, which is that I worry about people putting proprietary information in the cloud in the form of, an AI question or an AI interaction that they don't mean, and now it's become part of the world, the cloud world of ChatGPT.
Well, and that's another learning point. That's all part of learning about AI. Somebody who doesn't have a little bit higher level of knowledge of AI wouldn't even know that what you put out there is not, it is not private. It goes out to a separate server. There's accessibility issues. You'd have to know that you need to have some sort of private cloud-based AI to be able to do that kind of thing.
Right.
And that is the scary thing, because you wonder what all's been put out there already, who has access to it, how they can get to it.
I think one of the questions would be, can't you ask the AI what exists, and what data do you know about my company, and what data do you know about me and my company and other things? Do you think those are, or am I making the problem worse by asking stupid questions like that to an AI that's going to be like, I have no idea who David Turetsky is. There's a bunch of people on Google with the name David Turetsky. Do you want me to get you that data?
Yep. and I can tell you from experience because I have queried. Matter of fact, I do it on a daily basis when I'm working with different companies. I will query and say, "Tell me about such and such a company," and it's in some cases it works well. In some cases, it really doesn't work well. But it's not.
Do you query yourself?
Yeah, I'm afraid to do that. I'm going to take the ostrich approach. Just stick my head in the sand. I don't want to know what comes up on me on AI. But I can tell you that doing this with companies, there's seldom any information that comes back to me as the AI consumer that looks like it's private information. I'm sure that there's probably a methodology of hacking AI that you have to do. That probably still sits with the hardcore hackers that know all the languages and those kinds of things. But
I think every CIO is probably putting together right now a strategy for how do I lock down any data that's in the wild that each one of my employees as a consumer is, I guess, mistakenly using ChatGPT or other prompt engines to be able to get insight out of a data set like we were talking about. That nailing that down and being able to provide tools out to people instead of, and saying to them, hey, listen, instead of using the Wild West with that prompt engine, come use this one. It's a walled garden, so you won't have to worry about it. I especially worry about that for HR stuff. Yeah,
definitely. You look at the sensitivity of what we deal with in HR, and it's there's a lot of potential for badness there.
And especially in the world of compensation. Yes, compensation's getting more transparent, but nobody wants to be that person who puts the data into the cloud and then realizes that, various bad actors or just anybody can then get access to it and ask the question, hey, what are people paid at XYZ company? And all of a sudden there's this gigantic list that comes out that goes, oh, well, just so you know, here are all those people and here are their job titles and here's what they get paid. That would be awful.
Yep, it would be. It's
cautionary tale for all of you. Don't do this at home.
Well, and the industry is actually putting restrictions out there. I mean, there's ethical, all the ethical AI and the regulations and the guidelines and all those kinds of things. They're trying to regulate it, but the way that it's been built, the regulation probably won't help with some stuff that's been put out there.
That's just disappointing because, it could really help us right now. But I mean, that governance is probably, I guess that governance probably does need to be built into the companies, right? The companies need to think about that first.
Yeah.
And how they're regulating it.
Right. It's, it's interesting. I decided to try having AI build an image for me that I could use in a PowerPoint as an Illustrator image. And it, I was refining it. It would come up with something, and then it finally said, due to image restrictions, we can't build the image for it. And it wasn't anything. I mean, this was a business-related thing. This wasn't.
Okay, so it wasn't a very personal thing.
I think what it stops people from doing, at least on the surface AI, is saying, okay, I want to create a video of the president saying something or other,
Well, some engines will allow that, but
some will, But I think that there's some restrictions built in there. And
so is that what you were doing?
No, I wasn't asking him to do anything with the president. I forget. I can't even remember which of the prompts it was that it finally said we can't. I think I had asked for something company specific with a company out there to have its logo, and there was something about that.
I mean, there's trademark issues. There's rights issues. Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that goes back to the governance issue, right? So there may have been governance built into that particular application because there may have been concerns raised about utilizing trademarked or trademarkable or copyrighted images.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are ways of, I know in Apple Intelligence, there are ways of being able to develop pictures in, I think, what do they call it? The playground?
Image playground.
That you can build things yourself. I would say be very cautious about that. Like, we're talking about everything, be cautious.
Right, exactly.
So I think that's the theme for today. AI and HR, be cautious.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let everybody know that Jordan Morrow had a death in the family, and so unfortunately he wasn't able to join us. But our thoughts and prayers and our love go to Jordan. He's a wonderful human being, and it's much more important for him to be with his family than here on the podcast. But he's a good friend of ours, and we just wish him all the best. And
thoughts and prayers are with you, buddy.
Yeah. And so if you have any comments or questions about AI and HR, please leave them here at the bottom underneath the recording. Dwight and I did our best to chat about it during this time, and if you have any other thoughts about it, please let us know. And take care, and thank you for watching the HR Data Labs Brown Bag Lunch. Take care and stay safe.